On Sunday night, Eddie Bravo had his 11th version of the EBI Eddie Bravo Invitational. This time it was at the welterweight class. There was also a mini tournament with four guys in it at the bantamweight class. This was a combat Jiu Jitsu tournament, which is something that he had introduced in the past, but it's not something that we've seen anytime recently. It was brought back for this tournament, and it was something that was being watched with great interest, and with great interest by me on top of that. I feel like one of the problems with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu right now is we've kind of gotten to a point, and especially with the EBI tournaments, where it sort of becomes a battle of leg locks more so than a battle of the full Jiu-Jitsu game. And obviously leg locks are important. It's good that Jiu-Jitsu's gone from a point where in the past, if you try to leg lock out a tournament, you get booed out of there, to the point now where it's something that's being accepted. And I feel like it's important for all Jiu-Jitsu practitioners to learn the leg game, to get good at the leg game, and to be able to build off of it. But again, a lot of these tournaments, especially the no-gi, the submission only, you have some guys who have just great all-around games, but you don't really get to see it because it just becomes a battle of the legs. And a lot of the guys from the Danaher Death Squad, being your Gary Tonin, Eddie Cummings, Gordon Ryan, that's the game they play, and they play it extremely well. So for combat jiu-jitsu, what I found to be really interesting was to see if they got into those positions again, how would they fare? Would they be able to use the slaps to get out of them? Would guys kind of adjust and find ways to get themselves out of trouble? Because again, you can finish leg locks, obviously, without getting hit hard. Obviously, Yuri Alcantara beat Luke Sanders by knee bar. So again, if you can extend a leg, once your leg's already extended, once you're in a bad position of a heel hook, you can punch a guy in the face a couple times, but he'll rip your leg apart. And at that point, he's in a much better position than you are. But going from having nothing to having an attempt to being able to finish it, if you can kind of use strikes in that process to end the process, then that opens up the game a lot. And that was something that we got to see in there. So there was a leg lock position, I believe, in the finals where the guy was going for the leg lock, took 3 hard slaps to the head, let it go, and the guy on top was able to kind of pass and move forward and ended up finding a finish towards the end. And that's something that I think is really good. I feel like EBI and a lot of other Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments, if they start to introduce these combat Jiu-Jitsu aspects, if they can get guys like Gordon Ryan, Eddie Cummings to compete in it, it's only going to make the sport better. It's not going to eliminate leg locks, but it's going to make it to the point where if you're going to go for leg locks, you're going to go for leg locks in a position where you're not going to get yourself hurt. And if that can transfer over to MMA, that's going to be huge. It's going to be huge for a lot of these jiu-jitsu guys. It's going to make their games better. It's going to make them a lot more effective, too. So, again, Nick Honstein won the tournament by defeating Chad George in the finals. Chad George, of course, is a WEC veteran. Nick Honstein, also an MMA veteran himself. In the main card, or in the welterweight tournament, Gordon Ryan got to the finals against Wagner Hocha. Wagner Hocha, a UFC veteran. He had some memorable fights, including one against Cody McKenzie. And he was able to beat him by rear naked choke, which was rather surprising to me. Now, he went to the leg lock game early, got in pretty tight on a couple of attempts, but Rocha was able to get out of him. But in the end, great back take that Ryan was able to get. Got the rear naked choke around. It looked like it was more around the face. It was kind of like a face crush where you kind of compress in. But again, a lot of these top-level jiu-jitsu guys with the squeezes they have, and if you're able to get it right, you can tap someone without having to get it around the neck. Gordon Ryan was able to do so, and he is now a 3-time EBI champ at 3 different weights, which is right in line with Gary Tonin and his teammate. So, again, look forward to seeing EBI 12. I believe the next one's going to be in July around International Fight Week. That'll be with women's flyweights, which will be, again, first women's tournament for EBI. That'll be a fun one. And I'd like to see more of combat jiu-jitsu. I think it looked really good. One of the things that interested me most with it is, are there going to be knockouts in combat jiu-jitsu? How are those going to be handled? We only got to see 3 matches of it. The 3 matches were good, but there are a lot of possibilities within combat jiu-jitsu, and the more you see it, the more things are going to play out, and as more stuff plays out, then you can kind of adjust and make it better. And it's one of those things where if we can kind of pick that up as a sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if that's something that starts being trained a little bit more in all of the gyms or across the country outside of the Eddie Bravo gyms, that's something that's really going to help the sport. It's going to make Jiu-Jitsu a lot more effective, and really, if you can make Jiu-Jitsu more effective, why not? What's the problem with doing so?